All right, the purpose of this video is to explain how I was able to get various internal sources from the computer, sound sources, to run through a mixer, back into the computer, through various levels of amplification, limiting, equalization, and so forth, to OBS Studio and out to the internet. First of all, this is the general block diagram of my machine. I've added 2 USB audio dongles. These are about $7 a piece. They're not very expensive. And the audio output, the stereo output of those, goes into my mixer. Now here should be a picture of one of the dongles, and here's a picture of another one. They're on different USB channels. They can't be on the same one or they'll conflict, but they're just regular, ordinary Amazon.com type purchases. The output goes into this small mixer. It's a Behringer mixer. It has basically 3 input channels: the microphone and 2 others. It does take some additional inputs from CDs and so forth. And you can see down there are the various balance and levels and gain for the different channels. The right-hand panel is the microphone. The 2 in the next row, going across a vertical row, is the inputs from the USB dongles, and there's a balance and a level. And then finally there's a master output and a volume control for the headphones. So that's the mixer. The output of the mixer, so the USB dongles go into the mixer. The mixer can take other things. One of the things it's taking is the microphone. It is not connected to a turntable or to a CD player, but it could be. No problem. So we've got the mixer. The output of the mixer comes into the standard audio card for the computer. It's just the one that was built in. It's nothing special, fairly cheap as a matter of fact. So it goes into the audio in. We also have the audio out going to speakers. So anything that's played inside the machine that is being routed to system output will go to the speakers as well. The audio input is picked up by the jack connection kit, and this is the connection kit. It'll be explained in greater detail in a few minutes, but it comes in and it tells the audio where to route. It takes the audio and sends it initially to a set of meters. I actually use a different set of meters. I use the same set up here when you'll actually see it. For consistency, the set of meters tends to overread, but this is the bridge, micro bridge, something like that, meters. Anyway, it sends the raw data to the raw input to a set of meters. It routes the raw input to a JA-min, which is an equalizer and limiter. JA-min, after it's processed the audio, sends it to another set of meters so we can see before and after. We can see the effects of limiting if we adjust this. This also has a 32-band equalizer in it. It's very complicated. I don't fully understand it, but it works. The output of JA-min also goes to OBS Studio. Now, OBS Studio picks up the audio, and it can pick up video. You'll see in the example it does actually capture some windows. And it encodes it into a stream and sends it out over the Ethernet into the world at large. So you've got the stream going out. So the audio is provided by JA-min. The video is provided by other sources in the computer. Now up here we have 2 players. One of them is SM player and the other is VLC player. They're very similar, but they're different. They have been configured to separately use one or the other of the USB dongles. So this one has been configured. It's kind of messy, but it's been told which USB to use, and this one has been told which USB to use. So these, when they play through a particular USB output port. So these are my audio sources. So essentially, I have things playing here. The output goes into the mixer. I can adjust the volumes and so forth on the mixer. The mixer output goes back into the computer, gets limited and equalized, goes into OBS and out to the streaming site, whoever you're using for your broadcasting. So that's how it works. Pretty simple in the block diagram, but it took a little bit of work to get it all running. All right, now we're going to look at the full system in operation. Now I've already brought it up, because if I don't bring it up, I won't have a microphone. And as you can see, the microphone is responding up above. I hope it's loud enough. I can't tell because I have the speakers off. Nonetheless, as we look through that, when you in my configuration, I just switched to another window. In my configuration, I run a script. This is the script file down here, jack.script. It starts a number of things. Let's take a look at it, and I'll bring it up in the display. It's a bash shell. It kills previous instances of the Jack daemons. It sets the default server name. It loads any modules that are necessary. It starts the background daemon. It starts the control circuit, the control GUI for Jack. It waits 20 seconds for all of this to happen. 20 may be too long, but it isn't. It will work. You may be able to run it slower than that, but or less time than that. Then it starts the meters. It starts one of the meters and calls it raw input. Starts another meter and calls it processed. I use quotes because there's a blank in the middle of there. Some other things I don't turn on that I could, like Jack Mixer. And this is the Jack Audio Master program. It starts that, and then it goes into a wait state. And what it's waiting is for all of these processes to finish, which they won't finish until I terminate this job. You notice the ampersands here because those start the processes off in the background. The wait just means it'll stay there until I Control C this out of existence. When it runs, when the Jack control circuit comes up, whatever they call it, where is it? Up here, it's QJack CTL. Okay, that's the, I can't start it here, it's on the other page, you'll see it in a moment. When that starts up, it will go to jack.xml. The XML file contains the default configurations for Jack. You can make your configurations and save them so that when this comes up, you don't have to manually do it. It'll do it by itself. So what I did before we started the recording here is I ran jack.script in its own window. If I started here, I ran it in a terminal. It is running in a terminal, so I'm not going to start it again. There are some other things on the screen here. Now let's go back to the other screen. And that's kind of more or less what it looks like, not entirely, when it comes up. I've got OBS running here. I started that manually. This is that script running in its own terminal. You do get some error messages. As far as I can tell, they're meaningless, and they haven't caused any problem. But I can minimize that. You don't want to kill this, because if you kill this, everything else dies. Everything else around here is dependent on this running. So minimize it. You could probably set it up some other way. This is JA-Min. This is the Jack Audio Mix Master with the equalizers and the limiters. This is the patch bay that comes up as a result of the XML file. This is what the XML file looks like. This is the actual connections that are running, and because the XML file came up and told it what to run, that's what you're seeing here. This is the Jack QJack CTL. This is what it looks like here. You see it is running. So I'm going to minimize this. We don't really need to see it. But the connections, you see the connect button here, that's this guy down here. The patch bay, this is this guy down here. It's kind of cluttered screen, so I'll get rid of it right now. It's still running. I can't turn it off or everything will go downhill. One thing I should say right here is before you set this up, you want to go into your system and you want to turn off Pulse. Go down to System, Preferences, Personal, Startup Applications, and you go down there and you find Pulse. Now, if you're using a different version of Linux, you'll have to find out where it is in your version. But there it is. You see, I've got Pulse Audio System unchecked. If you don't do that, it will start Pulse, and then when Jack starts up, there'll be some faint background crosstalk between the two of them, and you don't want that. So disable Pulse. If you want to use it again, remember to turn it back on. All right, what are we looking at on the screen here? Well, I've got two sets of meters, and there's process and there's raw input, as you can see. The connection kit, and there's my my master control right here. Now, if we look at the connections, what I've done here, the way it comes in. This is capture. This is coming in from the mixer, actually. It's coming in from the mixer. It goes to JA-Min input. JMin input, and it goes to the meter's raw input. So whatever's coming in from the mixer, the external mixer, is going immediately to JA-Min and to raw input. Now, once it's in JA-Min, which is over here, JA-Min processes it. it limits it, it does all sorts of things, and it sends it out. This is the place where it sends it out. This is the output of JA min. It goes in over here, and it comes out over here. The output of JA min goes to the meter called processed, this other meter up here, and it also goes to jack input client. Jack input client is down here. That's the input, the audio input for OBS. You can see it jumping up and down as I talk. So jack input client is the OBS connector. And it goes to system playback. And that goes out of the system to the speakers, which in this case are going back to my other computer, which is recording all of this as a desktop. I'm remote onto the other machine. One machine's recording it and the other one's actually doing it. So there's a bit of latency in the movement of mouse and so forth as a result. So we've got just about everything running in this configuration. What else can we say here? Well, not too much. What I need to do is let's bring up the video here. I forgot to bring that up. Get the video. You can actually see the mixer here. I didn't start this because sometimes it does interfere because it thinks it's got a microphone. All right, this is the GUVC view. I can never remember the spelling on it. There's the mixer. It's not the best camera, but you can see my mixer here. And in the mixer, I'll point out this first row here. You're looking at it sideways. This is the control for the microphone. This is the gain for the microphone. This is high pitch equalization, low pitch equalization. This is balance, and this is the actual level on the microphone. So that's the microphone. This is one channel of input. This is the balance, and this is the gain. The gain is, can't really see it. It's oversaturating a little bit. If I move it, yeah, now you can see it a little bit. You see the gain is all the way down on it. This is the other channel here, okay, and it's also all the way down. It's balance, gain, or level as they call it, not gain. The buttons over here control, these are input and output for possibly a CD, a tape player, or some other external device. And these buttons control its output or into the system. This is the gain for the headphones. It's turned up. There's no headphone plugged in, but I'll turn it down just in case this isn't kind of crosstalk. This is the master output. This is the output coming out of the mixer. The plugs up here, RMS, naturally, this is a small mixer. If you get a big mixer, you're going to have a lot more plugs. This is the microphone coming in up here. This is an alternative microphone in. Here is one channel. I don't know which one, but it's one of the USBs, one of the USB dongles coming in here. This is the other USB dongle here. This second row of them here, and this final row here is the output. And the output here from the mixer goes into the computer, which you can maybe see over there. There is the computer. Now, the output of the computer, that green cable, is actually going to the other computer down the line, which is actually recording all this, I hope. I'll have to find out later. The USB, the dongles, the USB dongles, there's one of them here, and you can probably see it. Maybe not. Is it in the field of vision? No, it's... I'll have to move it up a little bit. It's this guy right here. Higher up. Higher still. Well, anyway, it's right here. It's oversaturating. Not a good camera, but there is a USB dongle there. There's another USB dongle in the front of the machine. I don't know if that's visible. Yeah, that's actually visible. You can see it coming out. That's plugged into one of the front USB adapters. You want to have them on separate USB channels. If you've got two USB dongles, as I do here, if they're both on the same channel, they won't work. They have to be on separate channels. That's why one of them's on the back of the computer and the other one's on the front. So those are my USB dongles. They come and they go into the mixer. They're turned all the way down. The mic is turned up, obviously, but the rest of the dongles are not. Obviously, this is an LED light. If I move it away there, it may be a little better. Okay, so We got two dongles. They're plugged in. It's kind of a mess of wires, but just the output of the dongles goes to the input on the mixer. The output of the mixer goes back into the input on the audio card. Remember, there's an audio card on this machine, as there is on most. That's taking the input from the mixer. The mixer is getting its microphone input directly from the microphone. So, all right. Next question. I'll minimize this. I won't minimize that. I'll need it in a moment. Let me try to get it off the screen someplace. I'm going to pull down these connection kits because I think you get the idea now, is that the system input goes to JMIN and to raw input, the meters. JMIN's output goes to the processed meter, the other meter, goes to jack input client, which is being used by OBS, and it's going to the system playback, which comes out of the machine and goes to the other machine for recording purposes. So you can't kill them, but I'll just minimize these guys, and so we can keep the things in the background. All right, I'll move that up there. I'll try to the purpose of doing raw and processed is that this is a limiter, and it if it's adjusted correctly, and I don't think it really is at the moment, but if it's adjusted correctly, it will limit the output. It'll keep it from going too high. And is also, by the way, here to be discussed in a separate video, of course, is an equalizer. As a large equalizer for, I think it's 31 or 32 settings. There's also the spectrum of what's going on here. You can see as I speak, this compressor curves. This is a whole, this master control here is a whole separate study in itself. Okay, so we got the master control. Now the question is, we want to be able to play music. The whole idea is to be able to run music, multiple sources of music on this computer, run them out over to the mixer, then back into the computer. So you have manual mixer control, which is what people seem to like. All right, here's Beethoven's Egmont Overture. If I click it, did I click it enough? Yes, there it is there. It comes up, it's running, you don't hear it. Oops, I put it on pause. You can see it popped over here because OBS was ready for it. OBS had a window capture. That's the window composite capture for, it was already programmed there, and as soon as it saw it, it brought it up on the screen. Okay, this output here of SMP player, it's one of the players you use in Linux. Is going to one of the outputs. I don't know which one. We will shortly find out because I'll start playing again here, and I will go over here and I'll turn one of them up. Is that it? I don't know because I can't. Well, that's not it because I can't hear it. I can't see anything change. I'll be quiet and I'll watch the meters. Yes, it must be playing. I should actually have the headphones in. That would have been a good idea. But that tells me, the meter, is that you are hearing Egmont. I've got the speakers off. I can turn them on, but I'm going to get echo. Yes, I do hear. I'll leave the speakers real low so I can actually tell what's going on. So in other words, it's going from the SM player through one of the dongles. I don't know which one is connected to which. And then it's coming in here, and there is my mixer control that I can turn it up and down and overmodulate it and overdrive it, all that sort of thing. All right, how about the other one? Well, I can't, if I'll double click on the Beethoven one down, Fidelio, I will get another SM player. So I'm going to open it with VLC. And hello, VLC, there it is. And it's started to play. Now, it'll be the other one here. A little bit louder. Notice the processed meters don't go quite as high. It is limiting them. So that's Fidelio, and meanwhile over here we have Egmont. So there you are. We're running through the mixer. We have mixer control. Anything you want to put in here as a mixer or any other external devices will work. But you're getting your source from these 2 players. There could be other players too, as long as the players are jack compatible. Not everything is jack compatible. Sometimes you have to load a plug-in to go with it. That was the case with OBS, as a matter of fact. And I think it was the case of with one of these, I don't know which one, but double checked, because it may not have, it may be jack compatible, but it may not have the actual jack software built in. Now, in terms of setting these up, I'll go down here to turn off all this music if there's anything going. I'll go into options and show you how I set it up, preferences, and then we will see audio, and you'll see that's where you set the USB device. Audio device. Doesn't matter which one, as long as you know which one it is. If you've got 2, you may only have 1. But that's where you set it. There's a lot of possible settings down here. That's the setting for SM Player. Setting for VLC is similar, but messier. And if I go into VLC, and I go down to audio, and you'd see it's set up to a USB audio device. However, picking it can be a problem. Okay, they show you a million things, because I do have several audio devices in this machine. There's the built-in audio. There's also the audio on the graphics card, which I don't use, and then there's 2 USB dongles, and it looks at lots of possible ways to jump at them. So let me see if I can bring it up again, not have it jump. So it is defaulting to one of them. It's tricky to figure out which one, but once you get it set, just don't change it. So one of them's going to one of the USB dongles, the other one's going to another USB dongle, and everybody is happy. Let me knock this off the screen. Let me take this over here, and we will see. You see over here in the meantime, this guy came up because it was already pre-programmed. It's another window capture for OBS. OBS is a separate art in its own right. So I actually got two devices here that are, or two programs which are showing up in the OBS screen. And you can see down here, OBS is getting my voiceover. And all I have to do is click Start Streaming, and it'll head out to, in this case, Vaughn Live. So there we have it. That's how you can set it up, and it actually works real nice if you want to do streaming. Like I said, you probably want to put your headphones in before you started doing this, so you can hear the audio channel instead of using a loudspeaker in the background, which I'm vaguely using at the moment. So there you have it.